She rolled down her window, stared directly at my bright red private property sign, and laughed before pressing the gas and driving straight through my ranch gate like it belonged to her. If someone did that to you, looked at your boundary and treated it like a joke, would you stay calm? My ranch sits just outside town, quiet and open, the kind of place where mornings are peaceful and predictable. I maintain the gravel road myself. I paid for the gate. I installed reflective warning signs big enough to read from 50 feet away. There are cameras mounted in plain sight. Nothing about the entrance is unclear. It is private. It is documented. It is legally surveyed. The first time her black SUV drove through, I assumed she was lost. I walked over, polite as possible, and explained she was on private land. I even gave her directions to the actual public road that loops around to her subdivision. She smiled tightly and said, "This road connects, it's faster." Then she drove off. The next morning at exactly 8:17 a.m., she did it again. Same SUV, same speed, same complete disregard. By the third day, I checked the camera footage. There she was, confidently passing every warning sign like they were decorations. A neighbor later told me she was on the HOA board in the nearby subdivision. That explained the confidence. She wasn't confused, she felt entitled. So I handled it properly. I sent a certified letter outlining the property boundaries with a copy of the county plat map attached. I highlighted the section confirming there were no easements, no shared access rights, no agreements granting her neighborhood entry through my ranch. The tone wasn't angry, it was professional. 2 days later, she drove through again. This time, she slowed down near the sign, shook her head slightly, and laughed. That laugh changed everything. It wasn't about convenience anymore. It was about disrespect. She believed I wouldn't push back, that I'd keep being polite, that I'd keep making calls while she kept saving 3 minutes on her commute. Let me ask you, when someone ignores clear boundaries over and over, is it still an accident? Or is it a test? I stopped trying to reason with her and started building a case. Every entry was logged. Every timestamp saved. License plate confirmed. Video backed up in multiple places. I contacted the county recorder to reconfirm there were 0 access rights tied to that subdivision. There weren't. I even consulted a property attorney to make absolutely sure I wasn't missing some obscure clause. I was. When I contacted the HOA, their response was dismissive. They claimed they had no control over how residents choose to travel. Convenient answer. But here's the problem: if anything happened on that road, if there was an accident, damage, injury, guess whose liability it would be? Mine. And suddenly I realized something important. She wasn't ignoring the signs because she thought she was legally right. She was ignoring them because she thought there would be no consequences. That assumption was about to cost her. Instead of arguing at the gate or escalating emotionally, I decided to respond in a way that was calm, documented, and completely within the law. No shouting, no threats. Just paperwork, preparation, and patience. Because sometimes the most powerful move isn't blocking the road. It's letting someone believe they've won right before reality catches up to them. If you've ever dealt with someone who thought rules didn't apply to them, comment below what you would have done in my situation. And if you enjoy real stories about standing up for your rights without losing control, hit like and subscribe. Because what happened next proved one thing very clearly. She should have taken that warning sign seriously. The next morning, I didn't stand at the gate. I didn't wave. I didn't argue. I simply waited. At exactly 8:17 a.m., right on schedule, the same black SUV appeared at the end of the gravel road. Same confidence, same steady speed. She didn't hesitate at the sign. Why would she? For weeks, nothing had stopped her. But this time, something was different. The gate wasn't just closed. It was reinforced with a legally installed locking mechanism tied directly to the property line. Clearly marked, clearly documented. And just beyond it, mounted in plain sight, was a new sign: private road. Trespassing will be prosecuted. She slowed down. For the first time, she actually stopped. Then she did what she'd been doing for weeks. She stepped out of her SUV and tried to move the barrier herself. That's when the second part of my plan kicked in. Because while she believed this was just a stubborn ranch owner finally getting dramatic, what she didn't know was that a formal trespass notice had already been filed. The documentation, the footage, the certified letters, everything had been submitted, legally time-stamped, official. The moment she stepped past that clearly posted notice and touched the locked gate, she crossed from annoying neighbor into something much more serious. Have you ever seen someone's confidence disappear in real time? A county patrol vehicle pulled up behind her SUV. Calm, no sirens, just presence. I hadn't called in panic. I had requested enforcement in advance, provided documentation, and asked what my lawful options were. They advised me to install proper signage and notify them if the trespass continued. It continued. The officer approached her while she was still standing outside her vehicle. You could see it on her face, that sudden realization that this wasn't a shortcut anymore. This was official. She tried to explain that the road connected to her subdivision. The officer calmly informed her it did not. He referenced the filed plat map, the recorded complaint, the visible signage, and then came the words she clearly wasn't expecting. Ma'am, you've been formally notified. If you enter this property again, you may face charges. The silence after that was heavy. She didn't laugh, she didn't argue. She got back in her SUV and reversed slowly down the gravel road she'd treated like her own for weeks. Let me ask you something. Why do some people only respect boundaries when there's a badge or a legal document involved? Later that week, I received confirmation that the HOA had formally warned her as well. Suddenly, the same board that had claimed they had no control was very interested in avoiding liability. Funny how that works when paperwork starts moving. And just like that, the daily 8:17 a.m. drive-through stopped. No dramatic shouting match, no revenge stunt, no chaos, just documentation, patience. And the ranch went back to being what it was meant to be: quiet, predictable, peaceful. The gates stayed closed. The cameras kept recording, but her SUV never showed up again. Sometimes people mistake calm for weakness. Sometimes they mistake politeness for permission. And sometimes they laugh at warning signs, right up until those signs are backed by consequences. So tell me, would you have handled it quietly like this? Or would you have confronted her the moment she laughed the first time? If you believe standing firm without losing control is the real win, hit like. And if you enjoy stories where entitlement meets reality, make sure you're subscribed, because out here, boundaries aren't suggestions. They're law.